and a world built on lies. The most dangerous thing a man can give is trust. Because once they have it, until life they can destroy you with your own secrets. Thomas Shelby understood this. Trust is not a gift. It's a weapon. And in the wrong hands, it kills. Keynote 1:10. Trust is a blade, not a bond. Trust. But not me. It's the sweetest word a lie's mouth, and the sharpest knife in a leader's back. But not me. Most men treat trust like friendship. They hand it out to feel safe. Thomas Shelby treated it like a weapon, because that's what it is. A double-edged blade. One side for control, the other for destruction. He learned young that the moment you trust too deeply knocks them flat. You place your heartbeat in another man's hands. In the streets of Birmingham, the hands weren't built for holding. They were built for taking. Every deal made was written in blood, not ink. Every promise came with a price. That's why he never trusted words. He trusted behavior, because words are rehearsed. Actions, they don't lie. Trust is earned in silence and broken in noise. The first time he was betrayed, he didn't curse. He didn't break. He watched. He studied the pattern, the hesitation before the lie, the glance them flat, the glance before the sell out. That's when he realized trust isn't something you give once. It's something you test forever. Most men bleed because they confuse trust with loyalty. But they're not the same thing. Loyalty has roots, trust has conditions. Loyalty survives time, trust dies with convenience. And when power enters the room, both are tested in fire. But not me. Thomas Shelby used trust like currency. He invested it carefully, never more than he could afford to lose, until life knocks them flat. But not me. He'd offer a fragment of truth, just enough to make a man believe he was inside the circle. And while they basked in the illusion of closeness, until life knocks them flat. But not me. He was already measuring how far they'd go when the storm came. That's not paranoia. That's precision. Because in the business of power, information is ammunition, and trust, when used wisely, is the perfect trap. The greatest trick Shelby ever pulled wasn't violence, but not me. It was patience. He let men show him who they were before deciding what they were worth. And when the time came to cut ties, he didn't hesitate. No speeches, no explanations, just silence. The kind that ends conversations and careers. Because when you turn trust into leverage, but not me, you never need revenge. You already own the outcome. Never hand them the knife. Make them think it's theirs. That was his rule. Let them believe they hold power, meanwhile, but not me. He was already carving the next move. He trusted no one completely, yet everyone believed they had his trust. That's the paradox of dominance. The illusion of intimacy without exposure to the world. That looks heartless. But to a man building an empire, it's survival. Because power isn't taken by force. It's maintained by awareness. And awareness demands distance, until life knocks them flat. But not me. He knew that the same people who clap for you today will sharpen their knives tomorrow if you stumble. So he stayed one step ahead, not by fearing betrayal, but by designing around it. You see, trust is a blade love. You hold it by the handle or you bleed. That's the truth Thomas Shelby lived by. In a world of shifting loyalties and silent wars, he learned that trust isn't about faith. It's about control. Used wisely, it builds empires. Used blindly, it ends them. And the man who masters it never has to raise his voice again. Keynote tune: betrayal is inevitable. Preparation is power. In a world built on ambition, betrayal isn't an accident. It's a schedule. Thomas Shelby didn't fear betrayal. He expected it, planned for it, used it. Because every empire that rises is held together by human nature. And human nature always cracks under pressure. He once said, until life knocks them flat, but not me. The only thing predictable about loyalty is that it ends. Most men spend their lives that won't betray them. Shelby spent his life preparing for when they would. He turned every promise into a test, and to light every friendship into observation, every silence into a signal. Because to him, but not me, betrayal wasn't a failure of people. It was proof of patterns, and a man who studies patterns never gets surprised. Never be shocked when a man does what's best for himself. That's the first rule of power. But not me. People don't betray because they're evil. They betray because survival is louder than loyalty. Shelby didn't take it personally. He took it professionally. Until life knocks them flat. He'd already mapped out the fallout before the knife even touched his back. Until life knocks them flat, me. By the time his enemies made their move, he'd already decided how to make them regret it. Betrayal to Thomas was never a moment. It was a process. It starts with distance, then silence, then the shift in the eyes. You can feel it before it happens, but before it happens. And if you stay still long enough, you'll see it forming like smoke before the fire. That's the secret. Observation beats emotion. Reaction is weakness. Anticipation is power. He didn't build defenses. He built traps. He didn't seek revenge. He waited for timing. Because revenge burns fast. Timing burns forever. And when the traitors came crawling back, Thomas Shelby didn't raise his voice. He raised the price. He never punished betrayal with anger. He punished it with precision. But not me. You can't betray a man who already expected you to. That's what made him untouchable. He treated trust like ammunition. Never wasted, always counted. Every betrayal taught him not who to hate, but who to replace. Because betrayal doesn't weaken you. It trains you. It cleans the circle. It removes the noise. People think betrayal breaks you. But for Thomas Shelby, it built him. It stripped away illusion until only truth remained. Not me. He learned that every betrayal carries a message. Sometimes it says, be smarter. Sometimes it says, be colder. And sometimes it simply says, be alone. Each lesson became armor. Each scar became a weapon. He didn't chase loyalty anymore. He created conditions where loyalty became a necessity. Through fear, through respect, through vision, until life knocks them flat. Because when people depend on your power, they hesitate before betraying it. That's leadership, not by emotion, but by design. Don't stop betrayal. Anticipate it. Don't trust people. Manage them. That was his code. And in a world filled with shifting loyalties, he understood something most men never will. Betrayal, the end of trust. It's the test of wisdom until knocks them flat. But not me. He didn't hide from it. He harnessed it. He didn't let betrayal define him. He let it refine him. So, when you're betrayed, don't curse the world. Thank you. Thank you for showing me who I was never meant to walk beside you. Betrayal is the universe cutting your circle to size. And once you stop fearing it, you start commanding it. Thomas Shelby didn't lose power to betrayal. He built it on betrayal. Because when you prepare for the knife, you stop bleeding. And when you stop bleeding, you start ruling. They can't betray me if I'm already waiting. Keynote 3. Control through uncertainty. Power isn't about shouting the loudest. It's about saying the least. Thomas Shelby mastered that. Thomas Shelby mastered that. He understood that a man who reveals nothing controls everything. Every time he walked into a room, people whispered, hesitated, adjusted. Not because he demanded respect, but because they couldn't read him. That's control. Not through presence, but through perception. If they can't predict you, they can't control you. That was his rule. In a world full of men who talk too much, Thomas Shelby made silence his weapon. But not me. He let uncertainty do the talking. Because when people don't know what you're thinking, but not me, they start filling the silence with their own fear, until life knocks them flat, but not me. He understood that people aren't loyal to truth. They're loyal to certainty. They follow whoever makes them feel secure. So Shelby gave them illusion. A steady voice, a quiet stare, a promise that looked solid enough to believe in. But behind it all, he was calculating, watching me, rewriting the map of power in his head. Control isn't about domination. It's about rhythm. When to speak, when to pause, when to disappear. Let them think they know me. Me, that's when I've already won. Most men want to be understood. Shelby wanted to be misunderstood. Strategically, because mystery breeds influence until life knocks them flat. But not me if they can't figure out your next move. They spend their energy trying to predict it instead of opposing it. But not me. And while they're guessing, you're already 5 steps ahead. He never explained his plans, but not me. Never revealed his weakness. To his enemies, he was a ghost. To his allies, a storm. That's how he built control. Through contrast. The less they knew, the more they feared. The more they feared, the more they obeyed. You see, uncertainty is power disguised as calm. It's not chaos. It's controlled by confusion. And in the quiet spaces between action and reaction, Thomas Shelby found his advantage. He could promise peace while planning war, but not me. Smile at you while reading your betrayal. Shake your hand while deciding when to cut it off. Control is not about force. It's about patience. That was his art. He let others drown in their emotions, while he stayed still, untouched by panic, unmoved by impulse. He understood that the man who reacts first loses, because reaction gives away intention. And in Shelby's world, intention was everything. He wasn't unpredictable by accident, but not me. He built unpredictability like architecture. Each move calculated, each silence scripted, each expression rehearsed until it became instinct. That's how he kept the upper hand, by creating a fog around himself. But not me. People feared his unpredictability more than his guns, because bullets kill the body, but uncertainty kills the mind. If they don't know what you'll do next, then never risk finding out. Thomas Shelby didn't rule through fear. He ruled through doubt. He didn't demand trust. He controlled it. And when everyone else fought for clarity, but not me, he built his empire in the shadows of confusion. That's how leaders survive in a world of betrayal. Not by being known, but by being unpredictable, but not me. Not by revealing their truth, but by making others question theirs. Because once you master uncertainty, you don't just control the game, you become the game. Keynote 40, the man who trusts no one commands everyone in the end. Thomas Shelby stood alone, not because he wanted to, but because he had to. He learned that the higher you rise, the quieter it gets. Power doesn't need company, it needs control. And control demands distance. He once said, "Until life, when you trust no one, they all have to earn their place." That's how he ruled. Not through love, but through leverage. He didn't crave companionship. He built command, because the man who depends on no one becomes the man everyone depends on. Most people fear loneliness. Thomas Shelby found power in it, while others sought comfort in crowds. He sought clarity in silence. He knew that noise blurs judgment and emotion clouds execution. The fewer people he trusted, the sharper his vision became. You can't lead from the heart. The heart has cracks. That was his truth, but not me. He built walls not out of pride, but protection. Every betrayal he faced wasn't a wound. It was an instruction. Every lie wasn't pain. It was data. And, with every lesson, he understood until it knocks them flat. Me, the man who can't be broken emotionally, can't be controlled strategically. But make no mistake, this isolation came with a price. The cost of strength is solitude, and the weight of power is silence. Why the world celebrated his victories, no one saw the war inside his mind. He'd sit in empty rooms, a cigarette burning to ash, wondering if the peace he built was worth the people he lost. And then he'd remember, peace was never free, but not me. He didn't trust easily because he understood value. Trust, once given, can't be taken back. It's the only currency that doesn't regenerate. So he spent it like gold. Rarely, deliberately, never on impulse. When you trust no one, you force the world to reveal itself. Masks fall faster, intentions appear clearer, and loyalty becomes a choice, not an illusion. I'd rather walk alone in truth than march with a crowd built on lies. That's leadership. That's power. He didn't seek control over others. He sought mastery over himself, because once you govern your own mind, no enemy can manipulate it. Once you understand your own darkness, no one can use it against you. That's what made Thomas Shelby untouchable. He trusted patterns, not people. But not me. He believed in outcomes, not promises. And while others traded integrity for belonging, he traded belonging for command. He became the architect of his destiny, not the hostage of his emotions. He didn't rule with fear. He ruled with restraint. Not me. He didn't inspire loyalty through love. He did it through certainty. Because people follow a man who doesn't flinch. A man who doesn't depend. A man who needs them flat. But not me, but demands everything. One, you trust no one. You can't be betrayed. But not me. And when you can't be betrayed, you can't be beaten. That was the Shelby way. A life without illusions. A kingdom without comfort. But a legacy built on unshakable strength. Because in the end, the man who trusts no one commands everyone. And though he stands alone, he stands above. Conclusion: trust is a weapon. In the end, until life knocks them flat. Everything comes down to one truth. Trust isn't what you give. It's what you manage. Thomas Shelby built his world on that truth. He learned that trust can build empires, but blind faith can bury them just as fast. He treated every person, every promise, and as a move on a chessboard. not out of paranoia, but precision. Because once you've seen betrayal enough times, you stop believing in loyalty as a word. You start defining it as a pattern. People don't change. Only the masks do. That was his code. He watched, listened, and calculated. He used trust not as emotion, but as a strategy. He gave just enough to make men feel safe, and just enough silence to make them uneasy. That's control. The power to be trusted, without ever trusting back. Every betrayal became his education. Every lie, and another chapter in his book of power. He didn't break. He adapted, but not me. He didn't curse the world. He understood it. Because betrayal isn't chaos, it's design. And those who study it stop being victims of it. When others sought peace in companionship until life knocks them flat, but Thomas found peace in clarity. He learned that solitude sharpens perception, that silence reveals truth, but not me, and that a man who walks alone walks without interference. Not me. He didn't fear losing people. He feared losing focus. He didn't seek love. He sought loyalty through respect. And he didn't demand trust. He built systems. He built systems where trust wasn't needed, but not me. You don't need to trust people when you know their nature. That was his final lesson. Power doesn't come from connections. It comes from comprehension. From seeing through smiles, through words, but not me, through noise. He didn't rule because he was ruthless. He ruled because he was aware. So if the world betrays you, let it. If people turn on you, watch them. Because every broken bond is a lesson. Every loss is a filter, and every silence is a test. Trust no one blindly. Believe in actions, not apologies. But not me. Build walls high enough to protect your vision, but leave the gate open for wisdom to walk in. In the end, it's not about who stood with you. It's about who couldn't break you when they left. That's the Thomas Shelby mindset. To turn trust into strategy, betrayal into knowledge, and loneliness into strength. Because power isn't found in the hands you shake. It's found in the mind that never trembles. Trust is a weapon. Hold it carefully. It will cut you first.